Hi guys. A lot of people ask me, what do I use to sharpen my knives? Well, it depends on the grind. For Scandi ground knives, two bevel knives, like for instance my trapper, I use a Japanese Waterstone, 1000 grit and 3000 grit. For D2, 1000 grit is not enough. It'll take you a long time. You can get lower grits, but that's the only one I got. That's the only one I use. For convex ground knives, like the Colonial Patch, I use sandpaper. And for V-edges, like let's say Victorinox knives, they're basically a full flat ground knife with a V-edge. I use the Lansky system if I want to sharpen or reprofile them. Now, for my Victorinox knives, I don't really sharpen them. I maintain them sharp. I use my DC4 stone in a combination with a strop, and it works fine for a long time. After which, you need to reprofile the knife. You could convex it by any means. I mean, take some sandpaper and just rub it on the sandpaper, get a nice shallow edge or a nice deep edge, whatever you feel like you need. But this is my Nomad. I used this knife for a long time, had it with me just to give to other people, and I started using the knife in the meantime. And it is shaving sharp now. I'm not going to shave anymore with the knife because it just looks crappy. But you can hear it. It is really doing a nice job. The thing is, the edge on it is pretty steep. So it does good for a folder for what I have it in mind. What I want to do with this knife is I want to put it in my first aid kit. Because my main Victorinox knife is the rucksack, and I do use the Forester I have. This one, I said, it will be a good place. It's a good, reliable knife. Have it sharp, and I would like to put a smaller angle on it. A keener edge, let's say. A keener edge angle. So, for that, I'm going to use the Lansky. You can do this on a stone, freehand. It takes some practice. You can learn it. No better knife to learn it than a Victorinox or an Opinel, or maybe put a secondary bevel on a Mora. Cheap knives make great learning tools. But if I want to get a really clean edge, I'll use the Lansky. Like I said, a lot of people ask me, what do you use? What do you use? This is just the basic Lansky system. And I've used this one for 2 years now. That's how it looks. Honing oil, a clamp, coarse, medium, fine, ceramic rod, and 3 rods that you use to mount the stones on. Now you can see this stone maybe. It's a bit curved in the middle. I could put it on a different stone, on a coarser stone, and take it down, make it flat. I don't care that much about it. To be honest, I use this stone a lot to reprofile a lot of knives. So right now, it's not gonna that's not gonna happen. Me putting effort into this stone. You can get the stones from Lansky separate. Okay, the clamp. You can loosen it or tighten it with this screw, and then you will tighten it. The final step with this one. It also comes with a replacement in case this one breaks, which I think is very nice. So put the blade in here, clamp it down. If you have a longer blade and you want a nice clean edge, you know, an even edge if the blade is well centered, you can do what I did for my SE4. I clamped it near the base one time, worked it, and then clamped it near the tip and worked that and blended it nice and even So you can't do that. With this, I only want to take the angle down and give it a nice clean edge. It will end up being stropped and being almost convex, so it doesn't bother me. Now on the back here, you have the angles. This is 17 degrees, 20, 25, 30. The 17 degrees doesn't really work because you will end up hitting this screw, or on the other side, actually taking a bit of the clamp. So not so well thought out for 17 degrees per side. But I never actually needed 17 degrees per side. 20 will do just fine. Now, you might want to have a rag because this is messy. The diamond one may be better. I'm just going to show you the beginning and then the end. I'm not going to hold you here forever while I do it. Hold the clamp, and I like, for thinner blades, I like to put my finger here. Make sure this is very tight inside the clamp so it doesn't fall on you and you try to catch it and cut yourself like I did. So just go top to bottom and then lift. And that's what I do. I go against the grind and lift. Not lifting that much. Usually I'll just do this. But I want you to understand, you can go up and down, but then you will create a much bigger burr that you'll push to the other side, and then coming to this side, push it, weaken the metal, and I think you will just use up more metal than needed. That's why I like stropping, because stropping takes, I think, the least amount of metal. And don't use too little oil, because you will get your stone clogged up. And sure, you can put oil after that and it'll unclog, no problem, but it'll just take longer. So this is already looking like a nice V-edge. And if you push towards the tip, make sure you keep your finger also there so you don't bend the blade while you do this. Switch the knife around and do this the same way. And when you feel like it's not gripping anymore, you may need to put some more oil on the stone. Now we started off with a sharp knife, and the initial steps is going to dull it, but then when you finish with it, it's going to be back to razor sharp if you do it right. Okay, I'm going to cut the video right off right now and be back in a second. I'm done with the coarse stone, and I was very careful not to create a burr after I got the edge where I wanted it to. I did have to create one because the edge was much steeper, and till you meet it, you either look in a microscope or you create a burr. Okay, now the next step would be I would take my medium stone, put it in one of these, and do that with the medium stone, and then the fine stone, and get the nice shiny surface, and then maybe the extra fine, and we're done. And I could take maybe the extra fine and put a micro bevel on the edge. Change the angle. I used the 20, and now use the 25 to just run it across the edge to give it that micro bevel to be more resistant. However, this is it for this knife. I use the coarse stone to reprofile it. It's sharp. It's not as sharp as it was before, but it's slicing paper. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to take the clamp off, and for that I'm closing the knife because I really don't want to drop it, and catch it again. It wasn't this knife, it was I think my fin bear. Going to close the Lansky, because right now I don't need it. You can do a complete reprofile and sharpen with this one, and it's really good for that. So I agree, freehand sharpening is definitely the way to go. If you feel like putting the time and effort, it pays off for me right now. Okay, now take a piece of wood and make sure you get rid of all that burr while just running the blade through the piece of wood, you know, or hard plastic. Now let's see how the knife bites in. It does a decent job. It's a good job for what I'm concerned. Okay, now we have removed what was left of the burr, and after that the knife cuts slightly cleaner. Although some people say, well, you cut something with it and afterwards it cuts cleaner. Yes, it does, because you remove the burr. Now, one last step to this, and once again, opinions are divided. I do like to strop the knives after I sharpen them. I just feel it's the easy way to do it, and I get good results. So I try to keep the same angle as to not create too much of a micro convex bevel, but in the same time, it's really a question of this much. Once a knife shaves, it's good for cutting wood, and it doesn't have to shave, it just has to slice paper clean, so it'll cut wood very well. This one does that relatively well, I would say. I can't see any hairs or somewhere where it broke the paper. Not super fast cuts, that's not what you're looking for, but it does well. It's not as sharp as some other knives. I would say that using a clamp, this system, is the easiest way to do it. Sure, some people say it's not the way to go. It's like cheating or something. I don't consider that cheating. I can sharpen freehand, but I get a much cleaner result with this one. So, you know, for all you people that aren't really good at sharpening, this is definitely the way to go. And even for people who are good at sharpening, but just want to get a nice clean angle on their blade, I think this is perfect. I said I wasn't going to shave, but it definitely shaves. I just don't want to get big bald patches on my arm. This one's very sharp right now. And all I did was like, what, 10 minutes in total with explaining about, you could spend like 5 minutes on a Victorinox knife. If you have a knife that has tougher steel, a harder steel, could take you more. And you don't have to strop it as much as I did. Pretty much 4 passes, 2, 3, 4, could do the trick. Just once again to prove a point. Now, it was as sharp before. Now, it just has a thinner angle, a thinner edge angle, and opinions might differ, but it may bite in a bit deeper. However, I wanted to do this just to have a clean edge. You can see it. If I can catch it reflecting, there you go. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this little presentation of the Lansky. I like it. Get one, you won't be sorry. And just a little sharpening tutorial and info. Hope this was of use to somebody. Have a great day.